Hola y bienvenido a mi canal de YouTube, a mi página de Facebook y a mi página oficial radionataliatv.com. Estamos haciendo un proyecto de lectura, estamos leyendo el libro del Principito en inglés y en español y en inglés. Déjame, voy a ponerme los lentes porque si no, no vamos a poder leer. A ver, vamos a ver aquí. Vamos a ver si lo puedo hacer así con la nariz de payaso. Creo que a lo mejor vamos a tener un problema. A ver, vamos a ver si lo podemos hacer así. Voy a empezar de nuevo. Vamos a leer el primer capítulo con la nariz de payaso. Y dice, cuando yo tenía 6 años, vi una vez una lámina magnífica en un libro sobre el bosque virgen que se llamaba Historias vividas. Representaba una serpiente boa que tragaba a una fiera. He aquí la copia del dibujo. El libro decía, las serpientes boas tragan a sus presas enteras sin masticarlas, luego no pueden moverse y duermen durante 6 meses de la digestión. Reflexioné mucho entonces sobre las aventuras de la selva y a mi vez logré trazar con un lápiz de color mi primer dibujo, y mi dibujo número 1 era así. Mostré mi obra maestra a las personas mayores y les pregunté si mi dibujo les asustaba. Me contestaron, ¿por qué? Porque habría de asustarnos un sombrero. Y me dibujó. Yo le dije, mi dibujo no representa un sombrero, señor. Es una boa constructor. Mi dibujo no representa un sombrero, señora. Representa una serpiente boa que digiere un elefante. Entonces dibujé el interior de la serpiente boa a fin de que las personas mayores pudiesen comprender. Las personas mayores a veces, porque ya son personas mayores, necesitan un poco más de explicaciones. Mi dibujo número 2 era así. Las personas mayores me aconsejaron que dejara a un lado los dibujos de serpientes, boas abiertas o cerradas y que me interesara un poco más en la geografía, la historia, el cálculo y la gramática. Así fue como a la edad de 6 años abandoné mi magnífica carrera de pintora. Estaba desalentada por el fracaso de mi dibujo número 1 y de mi dibujo número 2. Las personas mayores nunca me comprendieron. Jamás comprendieron nada por sí solas y es cansador para mí tener que darles siempre y siempre explicaciones. Debí pues elegir otro oficio y aprendí a pilotear aviones, volé tan alto y tan bajo, un poco por aquí y un poco por allá. Es cierto, la geografía me sirvió de mucho. Al primer golpe de vista estaba en condiciones de distinguir China de Arizona y es muy útil si uno llega a extraviarse durante la noche. Tuve así en el curso de mi vida muchísimas vinculaciones con muchísimas personas. Viví tanto y viví tantas cosas con experiencias muy interesantes. Las he visto de cerca a mis amistades y a mis compañeros y a mis socios de negocios, y mis ideas y mis opiniones han cambiado excesivamente. Cuando encontré alguna idea interesante que me pareció muy interesante y un poco lúcida, hice algunas experiencias con mi dibujo número 1 y mi dibujo número 2 que siempre he conservado. Así pude saber que verdaderamente era comprensiva, pero siempre respondía y respondía y respondía en mi subconsciente, en mi conciencia y en mi interior que jamás dejaría de ser una boa constructor y un sombrero que parecía una boa constructor. Entonces ya ahí ya me quedaba tranquila y entonces podía dormir tranquilamente soñando en los bosques vírgenes, en las estrellas, en más serpientes y en muchas otras cosas, hablando del bridge, del golf, de la política y de las corbatas, y con personas mayores que estaban muy satisfechas de haber conocido a una persona como yo, y yo que me quedaba tan satisfecha de haber conocido personas tan razonables como ustedes. ¿Qué te pareció? Ese es el libro del Principito, el primer capítulo en español. Vamos a leer el otro. En inglés va así más o menos. Dice: Once, when I was 6, I saw a magnificent picture in a book about the jungle called The True Stories. It showed a boa constrictor swallowing a wild beast. Here is a copy of the picture. In the book it says, boa constrictors swallow their prey whole without chewing. Afterwards, they're no longer able to move and they sleep during 6 months of digestion. In those days, I thought a lot about the jungle adventures, and eventually I managed to make my first drawings using colored pencils, and my drawing number one looked like this. I showed the grown-ups my masterpiece, and I asked them if my drawings scared them, and they answered why to be scared of a hat, and then I say it's not a hat, it's a boa constrictor. It looks like a hat to you? Well, it looks like a hat, but it's a boa constrictor. My drawing was not a picture of a hat, it was a picture of a boa constrictor digesting an elephant. Then I drew the inside of the boa constrictor so the grown-ups could understand. They always need explanations, and my drawing number two looked like this. The grown-ups advised me to put away my drawings of boa constrictors outside or inside and apply myself instead to geography, history, arithmetics, and grammars. That is why I abandoned at the age of 6 magnificent careers as an artist. I've been discouraged by the failures of my drawings number one and number two. And the grown-ups never understood anything by themselves when I tried to explain them, so for me it was exhausting to have to provide explanations over and over again. So then I had to choose another career, and I learned to pilot airplanes. I have flown almost everywhere in the world, and as a matter of fact, geography has been a big help to me. I could tell La China from the Arizona at first glance, which is very useful if you get lost during the night. So I had had in the course of my life lots of encounters with lots of serious people, and I have spent lots of time with my grown-ups that I have seen them very close at close range, at very, very, very close range, until I can see every detail in their skin spots, which hasn't much improved my opinion of them. Whenever I encounter a crânio who seems to me all enlightened, I will experiment on him with my drawing number one, which I have always kept, and I wanted to see if he really understood anything, but he will always say and answer, "That's a hat." Then I will talk about different things like jungles or stars, politics and golf, bridge, and also suits and neckties, and my grandmas were and get glad, and they also I don't know, their face just brighten up and they get glad to know such a reasonable person like me. So I lived all alone without anyone that I could really talk to until I had to make a crash landing in the Sahara Desert 6 years ago. Something in my plane engine had broken, and since I had neither a mechanic nor passengers in the plane with me, I was preparing to undertake the difficult repairs just by myself. For me, it was a matter of life or death. I had only enough drinking water for 8 days. The first night, then, I went to sleep on the sand 1,000 miles from any inhabited country. I was more isolated than a man shipwrecked on a raft in the middle of the ocean. So you can imagine my surprise when I was awakened at a daybreak by a funny little voice saying, "Please, please, please, draw me a ship." What? Draw me a ship? I leaped up as if I had been struck by lightning. I rubbed my eyes hard and I stared, and I saw an extraordinary little fellow staring back at me very seriously. Here is the first portrait I managed to make of him later on. But of course my drawing is much less attractive than my model. This is not my fault. My career as a painter was discouraged at age of 6 by the grown-ups, and I had never learned to draw anything except boa constrictors outside and inside. So I stared wide-eyed at this apparition. Don't forget that I was 1,000 miles from an inhabited territory. And yet this little fellow seemed to be neither lost nor dying of exhaustion, hunger, or thirst, nor did seem scared to death. There was nothing in his appearance that suggested a child lost in the middle of the desert 1,000 miles from any inhabited territory. When I finally managed to speak, I asked him, "What are you doing here?" And then he repeated very seriously and slowly in a very seriously voice, "Please draw me a ship." In the face of an overpowering mystery you don't dare to disobey, as absurd as it seems. 1,000 miles from all inhabited regions and in danger of death, I took a scrap of paper and a pen out of my pocket, and I remembered that I had mostly studied geography, history, arithmetic, and grammar. And I told the little fellow rather crossly that I didn't know how to draw. He replied, "That doesn't matter, draw me a ship." Since I had never drawn, since I had never drawn a ship, I made him one. I made him one of the only two drawings I knew how to make. The one of the boa constructor from the outside, and I was astounded to hear the little fellow answer, "No, no, no, I don't want an elephant inside of a boa constrictor. A boa constrictor is very dangerous and an elephant will get in the way. Where I live everything is very small and I need a sheep. Draw me a sheep."